Thank you, Ms. Tutu, Madam Rajavi, dear friends. When we were gathered here in Paris at the big annual meeting in June, most of us were optimistic and happy because of two important events that had taken place recently at that time. Most important, of course, was the delisting of the MEK in the United States. And we were also very pleased that the UN person, Mr. Martin Kobler, had been reassigned to some other post and had left as the UNAMI negotiator and chief in dealing with the issues that we are concerned with. So that was good. But since our meeting in June, there have been some significant negative developments. And of course, the most important is the horrific massacre that we witnessed here on TV on September 1st. And it's a shame that the United States has not kept this promise with respect to protecting each and every individual, like so many speakers here have mentioned today. And I remember at a conference in this very room last year, in January last year, when General Phillips, I think, said he was ashamed of his government. He was one of the generals who was personally involved in making that deal. The situation in Camp Liberty is also horrible, and it's shameful, and it's a contradiction that it should be given the name Liberty. And the civilized people of the world have to do something about this. Not soon, but immediately. And something also needs to be done very urgently with respect to the 7 hostages. The government of Iraq cannot be allowed to get away with the kind of behavior that is now going on, keeping these people concealed within their own prison somewhere, apparently in central Baghdad. It is not the kind of action and behavior that should be condoned. And therefore, the United Nations particularly, but also the United States government, have a great responsibility in freeing those people. A lot of people have spoken today about the Geneva Agreement between the 5 Security Council members plus Germany and the Islamic Republic of Iran. Well, in itself, it's a beneficial thing to reduce the level of nuclear development in the world. That, as such, should be welcomed, but one should not lose sight of the ultimate objectives of the regime in Tehran. The ultimate objective to develop nuclear weapons and potentially use them on their enemies who are our friends. And we must not also allow the regime in Tehran to use this kind of agreement to think that they can get away with the killings that are going on every day. We should not condone that, and such activity is not condoned. It should not be condoned by any agreement that is reached at the level of these 6 states with the regime in Tehran. But more importantly, it should not be an excuse. Such an agreement that has been reached, and maybe a further agreement after 6 months, who knows, we'll see. If, like Secretary Kerry said, if we are not naive and not stupid, maybe such an agreement can be reached by negotiating from strength. But it should not be allowed to legitimize the current mullah's regime in Iran. Why? Because we are aware, and we know, and we have discussed it so many times, there needs to be a regime change. And we know who needs to take over in accordance with the 10-point plan. That is our dear Madam Rajavi. And then ultimately, after the transition, there needs to be a free and fair election in Iran. So, I will conclude on the note that if, despite everything that's happened, despite all the negative elements that we have witnessed, if such a regime change ultimately can be brought about, I know that will be in the spirit of Nelson Mandela and all the other great peacemakers that have been with us in this world during the 20th century. Thank you.